Hello everyone, welcome to 1-3 Guided Notes, Physical and Chemical Properties and Changes from Unit 1, Properties of Matter. In today's notes we will be looking at the guiding question, what are the two types of changes that matter can undergo, and what are ways we can determine which type? Provide real examples in your response. And then the do now you will complete on your own. Chemical and physical changes. Matter can undergo two types of changes, physical changes and chemical changes. Physical changes are ones that do not change the composition of the material, such as ripping paper or melting ice, because it is still chemically the same substance. Chemical changes are ones that change the composition of the material, such as burning paper or iron rusting, where in both of these new material or substances are formed that are chemically different. So the atoms are bonded to different things and not to what they originally were. They are chemically different from what they started as. 4 common signs that a chemical reaction has occurred are changes in color, where the products are a different color than the reactants, changes in temperature, heat is released or absorbed during the reaction, production or evolution of a gas, gas bubbles are released during the reaction, or the production of a solid. Solid settles out of a liquid solution. This solid is called a precipitate. Now all of these indicate that a chemical reaction could have occurred. Okay? On their own, sometimes it is not sufficient. The key part for a chemical reaction is that it is chemically different from what it started as. What this means is that the atoms are bonded to different things. Okay? Changes in color, temperature, or gas or solid production can indicate, but phase changes, where we change temperature, are not chemical changes. They are physical changes because it is still chemically that substance. So this is change in temperature is not a sign of a chemical reaction, it is a sign of a physical change in the case of phase changes. So you have to pay attention. Does this change in temperature come as the result of the substance chemically changing? Okay? So chemical and physical properties are kind of based off of what we kind of went over already, where properties of matter can be classified into 2 groups. Physical properties of matter can be observed without changing the material, whereas chemical properties of matter can only be observed by changing the material chemically. Additionally, we can describe physical properties of matter as being intensive or extensive. Intensive properties are properties that do not change with the amount of material present, such as the ability to burn or density. Intensive properties are often useful in identifying an unknown material. Extensive properties are ones where the amount of matter will change the property, or what you're looking at for that matter. This includes mass or volume of the material. And so here we have a chart that shows all of this. Make sure you write down this last part here in your notes. Does the property change when the amount is changed? So you would ask yourself these questions to determine if it's a chemical property, a physical property, and based off the physical property, is it an intensive or extensive property? So density, as an example, is a property that we will be studying in class's term. The density of an object is a ratio of the mass to the volume. It essentially describes how tightly packed the particles are. Mass and volume are extensive physical properties. So mass and volume change when the amount of matter changes. Thus, they are extensive. They extend or expand or can change when you change the amount of matter. However, when you make them into a ratio, it gives you density, which is an intensive physical property. Intensive means that if we have more of that substance or less, that property does not change. So for density, if we add more or take away some, the density of that substance is still going to be whatever it was. So the formula for density is density equals mass over volume. So we would say D is equal to M over V. So chemical properties include the ones listed here. Here are some extensive physical property examples and intensive physical property examples. Okay, so for our I do. Which of the following is a chemical change? So that means it goes from one type of substance to another one, and they are not chemically the same. So crumpling a piece of paper is still paper, so that is a physical change, not a chemical change. Tearing a piece of paper, it is still paper, smaller, yes, but still paper, so that is a physical change. Burning a piece of paper changes the paper from paper to carbon dioxide, water, and ash. So that is a chemical change. So that is an answer. Looking at the rest to make sure we've got them all, cutting a piece of paper is a glorified form of tearing. It is smaller, but not chemically different, so it is just a physical change. Number 2, choose all of the following that are extensive physical properties. Explain your thinking. So height, boiling point, density, and hardness. So extensive means that it will change when the amount of matter changes. Okay, so height, if something gets taller or shorter, that is a change due to the amount of matter in that substance. So yes, that is extensive, right? Because it changes, so height changes or can change when the amount of matter changes. Okay, boiling point, however, will not. The temperature of a substance, it will always boil at that temperature. So like water boils at 100 degrees Celsius or 212 Fahrenheit. That doesn't change if you have a cup or a pot of water. It'll always boil at that same temperature. Density, we mentioned earlier, is an intensive property because it does not change. The density of a cup of water and a pot of water is always going to be the same. And then hardness is an intensive property. In geology, the hardness of a mineral is listed as a specific index. That is the same for that mineral no matter what. So even if you have a small little rock to a really, really big rock for that same type of mineral, that hardness stays the same. So again, for the we do's, you will scan the QR code and complete them on your own. And then when you've done that, following along the videos that pull up, you will complete the you do on your own. Okay, when you are done with all of it, please answer the guiding question at the bottom of your notes. If you were absent, you can either upload your notes to Schoology or you can wait until your return to turn them in. Thank you.